Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you've had a great week. Danny and I are just barely functioning today. Coffee, come on, kick in.
Let's go.
Let's go for real. Ooh, I tell you, it's a whole different ball game when the summer kicks in. It's like the motivation is totally different.
Yes.
Maybe even lacking.
I turned off all of my alarms, right? And I'm sure you do the same thing. So I didn't have to wake anybody up this morning, and everybody is still sleeping except for me and Marnie. And I'm like, this is great. This is fantastic. And I think it was 7:30. I'd woken up earlier and I'm like, no, I'm going back to bed. And I woke up again at like 7:30 and I went, oh crap.
Yep.
I got a podcast in 45 minutes. I got to go, And the funny thing is, for whatever reason, I've gotten more messages from people this morning and texts and stuff like that than I ever do. I'm like, this is my first morning to sleep in. I don't have to wake my kids up. It's pouring down rain. It's going to rain all day long. We're not going to do anything today, but just kind of like huddle up in the house. So I get to sleep. Oops. No, you don't. And it was just like, what? Who did this?
Did it to myself.
It's all right. Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's funny too, because I have that same feeling you get when you're a kid and summer starts and you don't have to go to school.
Yeah.
I've got that freedom, like, oh yeah, I don't have to do anything. And then the reality strikes that no, actually now I have to plan, probably not for my oldest, because he's going to college. He didn't want to do anything I'm doing anyway, probably. But I have to plan like the day for the kids. Like, now we can get up at 8 or maybe 9. Let's see what the day is, but what are we doing today? What do we need to get done before we leave the house?
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of cleaning. There's going to be a chore list called I'm bored. And anytime you come up to me and go, I'm bored, I'm like, oh, cool. Number 4 has not been done. Go do that one.
I love that idea.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you're bored. I don't want to hear it. Boredom comes from within.
Hey, I will say though, you said it was raining. That's perfect time to sit down and watch the first 2 episodes of Acolyte on Disney Plus, man. The new
I don't know what that is.
The new Star Wars.
Oh, the Star Wars
series.
Acolyte. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, Acolyte.
Did it come out?
It did.
Right.
It did. It I believe like last night it actually came out. So that's on my agenda for today, is to sit down and watch those first 2 episodes and just see exactly what's going on there. I don't know any of the lore for that show, so I'm very excited to see what it is. I know that Hayden Christensen reached out to some of the cast members to basically like welcome them into the Star Wars family, and it was really cool to see some of their reactions to things. And kind of, it's very fitting, that would happen. And so, yeah, it looks like a cool show. I'm really excited about it. So that's on my agenda, because it's not supposed to be very nice here today either. It's supposed to start raining at some point. So no mowing lawns or anything like that today.
Yep. Yeah, and our grass needs it for sure. It's staggering the amount of rain we've gotten lately, but hey, the crops are enjoying it, I'm sure.
Hey, yeah,
and
man, better corn.
I bought a slack line. You know what a slack line is?
Yeah, we were talking about it on the last episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Okay. And so I got one and I went on Amazon. Honestly, the best one I could find, both in person or reviews, was on Amazon. So I'm like, all right, let's go. And it wasn't terribly expensive. It was about $60.
Okay.
But to set that, because it comes with a top line too that you hold on to, right? So it's
so you got 2.
Put it
okay.
Up. Yeah.
That's not bad.
Well, the top
$60.
one's just for holding, though. You can't walk on it.
Right.
So it's not two. All right. But yeah, one to kind of hold. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, every time we go camping, every time we go to wherever, if there's an outdoor place that we're going to be in, I'm taking the slack line, man. Because it's a pretty easy kit. And people had said this to me, and I'm like, I don't know, but yeah, it is easy to put up. It looks easy to put up. I haven't put it up yet, but I
It's
can't wait because it just looks like the perfect thing to just be this, kind of it's almost like a playground in a pocket, right? You just take it and slap it up wherever you're at. So that's what I'm looking forward to the rain stopping. I guess I'll cut the grass too, but
it's not uncommon to like go to a campground and see people with those.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been to plenty of campgrounds, and usually there's at least one family that has a slack line going, and
sweet.
which is always very intriguing to everybody else who's never seen one before, because the first question that comes out of most of the people that I go camping with is, "Oh, look, the circus is in town." Uh,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think they're a part of the circus at all. And they're like, well, what is that? And you try to explain it to them. And, then they're like, oh, that's a city thing, huh? And I'm like, no, it's not a city thing. Like, come
Nope.
on. But anyway, yeah, so that's cool because I haven't seen any around my neighborhood, but I don't have any trees close enough to really make that work.
Yeah, I haven't seen one anywhere other than online, like videos. I've never seen one in person. So
Yeah.
now the camping that I've done too is like in the last 15 years was in my backyard. So there was nobody bringing the slack line to us, right?
Yeah.
We'd have all of our friends over. We had 7 acres. Just go, why go camp somewhere when I could just go right there and not have to poop in a hole?
There you go.
Or not
That
have to dig the hole I poop in, I guess.
right.
Have a pool, I have a little pool of water waiting for my poop. Huzzah. you know, but looking at it too, like you said, it's perfect. And it's the
Yeah.
thing too that I know if my kids saw other kids doing it, they would immediately want to do it
Now,
because
is it gonna
it's
hold an adult? Like, I mean, I know I've seen
yes,
most of the guys
two
that I've seen,
adults.
two adults, really.
Yeah. Yeah. This
Wow.
thing is, I think it's, I can't remember the numbers on it, but it's 600 pound, I believe was where
Wow.
it was at. Yeah. So
How high does it have to
it's
be
a
up
big,
though? Because it's gonna, bend down.
well, I think maybe 2 feet. Probably it doesn't
Okay,
go too much, but 2 or 3 feet up. I don't know. I'll figure that out when I get
that's
to
cool.
it.
I'm just
But
trying to
yeah,
give our listeners like an idea of like
yeah.
how this thing is set up.
Well, you
So,
know what we're not going to do is film me
oh yes,
on
we
it.
are. We need to.
No, You got to talk to my kids about
I
that because
just
I
feel
could
like at
just
some point.
imagine when that old man there would be the video, it'd be TikTok. Fat old man falls off a slack line because he's a moron because he forgets he's not athletic anymore, and I'll be like doopy doopy doo, bleh, and I'll just lay there. I won't roll over. I'll just bleh, like someone dropped warm clay on a concrete floor, and I would just like meh and mold to the ground, and I'd be laying there like
I've
so
just got
no,
it pictured in
nobody
my
wants to see
head
that.
that you're like going across it and like one foot slips off on one side, one foot slips off on the other side. Next thing you know, whack, that thing comes up. It's like, well, glad I got all the kids here
I,
already.
I would make noises for that one. Yeah, you definitely make noises for that one. It'd
Yeah.
be high pitched. Dogs could hear me, but that would be it. Yeah.
Oh man. So that sounds like fun. I definitely want to see video. I don't know if I've got to get a hold of Marnie to make that happen, but we're gonna we'll see. I'm sure that the listeners will want to see it as well. So I think it'd make a great
Well,
TikTok.
Marnie does play trombone, or she did. So we
Oh.
can get her. She can do. Well, that one would work, but I was like, "Ba-dum, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum." The little elephant walking sound. That'll be it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. And then
Elephants
suddenly,
on
wah,
parade.
wah, wah, wah. Yeah. Absolutely the
Oh
wah, wah.
man, just setting that all up. Well, hey, today we've got guests. We got guests. We got guests. We
Probably
got
two.
guests.
Yep.
We got two guests. Yeah, I see them. They're sitting here in the waiting room. Uh,
Yes.
we're gonna be talking some food, which is always a good thing.
I'm ready.
And I think one of the things that's unique about this organization is just the diversity of dads who are in here and the culinary experiences that they come with, and even uh, food options that maybe you've never tried before. Um, and I think that because of that, it leads to some fun conversations both online and also to like in person, like at home dad con and stuff with, you know, what are some of the favorite meals and things like that.
Mhm.
And I'm that would be my reasoning for thinking that that's why these two gentlemen are coming on the show to talk about a cookbook that they're trying to put together. And so I'm very excited. Like, I mean, we know these guys, you know, we've known them for a
Some of my
long
favorite people.
Yeah. And also too, I think a lot of people who listen to us have talked to these guys. I mean, you got Matt Strain, and if you've been to Home Dad Con, you've probably had his meat in your mouth at some point. And Aaron Smith. And so those two guys are going to come on here in a little bit, and we're going to talk to them about their idea for a cookbook called Dad Dishes, which that's a t-shirt right there. That's all I got to say. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting, man. We talk food all the time on this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
love food, obviously.
right? Exactly. I mean, we're always cooking food for our kids,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that they don't eat a bunch of junk food before our dinners.
The number of times we've had people ask not only what's for dinner, because that's like, don't ever ask me that, I will slap you, but that we've had people ask on the Facebook group and on Discord, what do you cook that's easy? What do you cook that's fast? What do you cook that you can give your kids regularly? My kids don't like these, 5 things, and I need another option, or I'm already doing those 5 things and I need another option. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The book, I think, is going to be amazing whenever it comes out.
I need a couple of, more dump dishes to be able to put together. That's the kicker right there. Those are the winning easy
slow
meals.
Cooker and an Instant Pot. Those are like my 2 go-tos. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll be back with Matt and Aaron and talk about the cookbook here in just a moment. Become a member of the National At-Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support, connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At-Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, it should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At-Home Dad Network challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today. And we are back. Glad you stuck around after the commercial there, and hopefully you become a member of the organization.
No. Yeah, that's cool. You have to say welcome back, man. That's your thing. Why would you screw that up? Why?
I don't know. I'll say it. Fine. I'll start over. There
are people listening right now that are not actually listening because they went, well, you didn't say welcome back. It's still the commercial.
Welcome back.
Finish making my sandwich.
Welcome back. Okay. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the commercial there, and it prompts you to become a member of the National At-Home Dad Network. We've got our guests with us today, Aaron and Matt from other sides of the country. Aaron, I mean, you, sir, are dedicated to this, to be coming in as early as it is out your way. So glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be here, guys.
And Matt, as everybody knows, is our culinary expert in the organization. And so as I said this earlier before you came on, and it's like, if anybody's met Matt from Home Dad Con, you've probably at some point in time had Matt's meat in your mouth. And so I feel like that's a t-shirt
that will never die.
Yeah, for true.
I hope
for true.
I hope not.
I always just like you telling the stories about how you got your meat through security and what took place with TSA and everything. That's always my highlight because I'm like, oh, what are we getting this year?
And
It's amazing how difficult it is to fly with like sticks of salami tight wrapped in plastic wrap in your carry-on.
excuse me, sir, what is this? I'll let you eat one and then you'll know and you'll never bother me again.
just smell this.
Well, I joked with my wife, Angela, at one point, and she told me that I was absolutely not allowed to do it, but I wanted to put like all my charging cords like right on top of the package of salami, along with like an alarm clock.
Jail
And
is not nearly as cool as TV makes it. Okay. I'm just going to
yeah,
tell you, it is a bad, bad place.
yeah, it would be really funny up until the handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you write not drugs on all of them?
I wrote it on there. I'm sure you know. I want to say too, before we get too far into the show, that I think Matt, you're probably you are most famous, I guess, or most well known because of being a chef and for all the things you've added to the community, really, because of what you've done. But I want to make a point of it to say that there's a lot more that you've been doing, that you're doing, because while that is a pivotal point in your life, I'm sure the things you've done since have been amazing too. I mean, you're secretary for the organization. When I first joined the board, I thought, well, I want to be secretary, and I tried, and the vote was like pretty even, and you got chosen, and I'm like, cool, let's go. But looking at the amount of work you have to do, I'm like, yay, I don't have to do all that. I am not going to have that job ever. And I'm not. I will not. I will refuse that. And treasurer, I'm president. No, I'm not doing any of those things. But the amount of work that you do for the organization is surprising. And I don't think people get it. But on top of that, you're a triathlete and you're an ambassador for a very good non-alcoholic
see it in the background there.
I
see the jersey in the background.
Cycling. That's my athletic cycling kit behind me.
And I want to make a point of that too before we get into the cookbook. None of that's what we're here for, but I want to make a point of that because we've talked about it on the show before. But the ability to drink a good beer that isn't going to get you a little buzz, it doesn't have any alcohol in it, I think is far more important than I think people realize. Because of, like, I went out the other night with the men's group here, and we're gonna go to this brewery. I'm like, great, okay, cool, fine, let's go. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not have anything. I'm not going to drink. I don't drink alcohol really anymore. So we'll just see where we're at. And they gave me one of the athletic brews. They had it on the thing. Well, yeah, let me have that one. And it was good. It was still beer. Sorry, but it was good. And my brother tried it. He's like, that's a pretty good one. He likes stouts. He likes to be able to actually cut his beer with a knife. Seriously, likes to chew on it. I'm like, that's gross. But he said, wow, that's pretty good. What is it? And he said, oh, it's non-alcoholic. And he bought one. Mm-hmm. So I want to say that because of the way beer culture is and how we've talked about this before, and I want to beat a dead horse, but I want to make a point of all those other things that you do beyond being a chef, because I think it's very important to remember when you've done so much for the organization and to be able to tell you personally, and I think other people as would, thank you for all you've done for the organization and for fatherhood. Because seriously, you've got a lot more chops than just chopping meat.
And I see that, I see we got you got your Cincinnati Home Dad Con shirt on, and Matt's got the Orlando, and Aaron's got the Milwaukee shirt on. I did not get that memo, so I've got a different shirt on. But
I wasn't gonna say. I was gonna let that go.
It's okay.
Let that go.
But what I was gonna say is that I know Matt has had sort of the reins for our food, for our lunches and dinners at the hotel, and also with Father's Eve and stuff like that. And so that's the other thing that's been like the expertise that he's got, like, has brought that in as well. So that's their part.
Not this year.
Not this year? Oh, okay.
No.
Who's doing it this year?
I would like to point out, and massive kudos to him, but Chris Griffin has really taken the reins with that. He has asked me to sit in on a couple of meetings just to help with like the food selection end of it, but he has been taking care of the negotiations for our offsite dining and all the rest of it. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I mean,
I was going
I've
to
been
ask
doing
you.
food. I've been doing food for the convention since 2017. I'm
Yeah,
enjoying the break this year.
There you
yeah,
go. Definitely.
because it's your baby, right? I mean, it's kind of like, this is what I've been doing, and I'm going to give it to somebody else. And you have to kind of let them, stumble and make a few missteps, or because they're going to make mistakes. We all do. And for me, like looking at things like that, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to keep doing this forever because I don't want to see somebody screw it up. I just have that. And I'm, well, like with being an admin for the Facebook page, I'm moving away from being a chair, and I'm going to quit being the chair of that committee as soon as I can get everything set up. And I'm thinking about it still, like, oh, if I walk away and then they do something completely, whatever, or something happens and they miss it, how am I going to feel? But I love that you have put in that much time and now recognize you need a break, because obviously self-care is best care, right? So I love that.
Speaking of self-care, Aaron, I know that you tap into your Paul Bunyan axe throwing side of life, and I am curious though, like, so I know that you do axe throwing, and that is definitely something that you take very seriously because you compete and that kind of thing. How does that passion translate into the passion for also cooking for you?
Um, they're very different beasts, to be honest with you. I,
Yeah, there's no point A to point B on that one, is there?
I,
But
I'm I'm
sometimes,
giving him the chance to bridge it, okay?
well, there's the metal blade that I gotta keep sharp and make myself feel good about it, which I enjoy keeping a nice sharp blade.
See?
Both in the kitchen and on the in the ring, so to speak, on the lane. Um, but normally in a kitchen, I'm not letting my knife leave my hand too often. That's kind of a thing, like you control yourself. So, and I'll be honest, I've hurt fewer people throwing axes than I have, in the kitchen. So
Well, there you go.
it's probably safer. It's just a safer event, just
well,
to have me out there throwing my knife, right, or my sword, my axe, versus having the
people
knife.
need to learn to stay out your kitchen.
Right.
Sometimes there's only one way to teach them.
Yep.
That's a rule I thought I had accomplished, but for some reason I've got children that want to be around me to do these things.
I need to get in that drawer right there. Now, if you
Right.
move over there, I'm going to need to get behind that drawer too. So why are you even in the kitchen right now, sweetie?
Why?
I'm not
The
channeling.
easy way to get the kids out of the kitchen is put them to work.
Oh,
Like, ask them to start actually doing some of the cooking work, and it's amazing how quickly they will disappear.
Or you get kids that like to cook, like that want to cook,
Right.
and
it's a win either way.
It really is. Yeah.
that's what it is with you, Aaron? Your kids like to cook with you?
My daughter really enjoys being in there. My son just wants to stir. He doesn't care what it is. He just wants bread.
But he's young though, isn't he? Like 3?
He turns 3 in a couple weeks.
Stirring is the perfect thing for a
stirring
3-year-old.
Perfect. Yeah.
And my daughter though at 7 is learning knives are sharp.
There you go.
And that's a tough pill for her to swallow sometimes.
And for those of you who haven't brought your kids in the kitchen to cook with you, one of the things that was really hard for me was stepping back and realizing this is going to take 3 to 4 times longer than it would if they would just leave.
Yeah.
Because they're going to mess up. Not only that, but they're going to make a huge mess that you're going to have to jump in and clean up afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it is so worth it. The last time we did cooking here at home, we made a batch of cookies. I don't understand how anybody can get flour that far away from the workspace. But they did. But it doesn't matter because they smiled and had a blast the whole time.
Meat and fluff goes right out the window.
Oh yeah, all goes right away in a heartbeat.
Now, I think I want to say it was a conversation I had with you, Matt, a while back about the fact that when you're teaching your kids how to cook and also to prep with knives, that actually using sharp knives is better than a plastic knife or something along those lines, because you're not bringing in the element of danger to it that, allows them to be on heightened alert while they're actually doing the task. And I took that to its, I took that, was like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And for my 11-year-old a couple years ago, that's what we started doing. Like we got some new knives and everything, like ones that I felt much more like confident with. They just had a better feel to them, better grip to them, that kind of thing. And I have complete confidence in him whenever like I need to chop up fruits and vegetables and stuff. He grabs a knife and he can just go to town on it. He understands, keeping his fingers back and all those different aspects to it. And so yeah, and I that was probably one of the best pieces of advice I think I got from when we were talking at Home Dad Con. And
Yeah.
I came home and I told Corey about it. And she's like, "You're gonna do what?" And I was like, "Hey, if Matt said that this is the way, like this is what I'm gonna do."
My daughter got her first knife at 5 years old. When she was 5, she said she wanted to help in the kitchen, and we were traveling for a vacation, and there was a Sabatier factory store that was listed on one of the exits, which is a French knife company. And needless to say, like flies to garbage, or insects to a flame, we were right, like I just exited without even asking. And I brought her in, and oddly enough, I wasn't even aware that they made these, but they make a traditional French knife that only has like a 6-inch blade, which is incredibly small. As an
Yeah.
adult, like it is almost impossible to use. But for my kid, it's the perfect size. Like proportionally, it's like the 10-inch knife that I use.
Yeah.
Nice.
Between that and there's no particular brand that I use. If you go on Amazon and you search stainless steel finger guard, they sell these little shields that are like a piece of metal that sits in front of your finger, and it's got a loop in the back that you put your finger in.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally forces you to hold your hand in the right position to cut, but puts a little metal shield there, which is good for in the beginning when we're all learning. I mean, I know plenty of adults that could use this as well. But eventually it just becomes habit to hold like this instead of holding a vegetable with your fingertips.
Yeah.
Because when you use your fingertips to hold things down, you end up with funny shaped fingertips.
Because you have to rush to the hospital and see if they can actually sew it back on.
No. There was no sewing back on. There was a skin graft, and they rebuilt that fingertip.
Or that.
Yeah.
Or that. But so Aaron, how does this all play out for you with being with Matt to come together and build this cookbook? Like, how did that idea come about?
Well, I have to correct you. This wasn't Aaron coming together with me.
Uh-huh.
This was Aaron coming up with an idea and then coming to me to help with it.
Well, even better. Okay.
Aaron started this idea. I just am helping him run with it.
Oh, well, that's even better, Aaron. Let's hear it, man.
Yeah, actually, now, as much as I'd like to take that praise, Matt also, I came to Matt with this idea, and he responded with, "Yeah, I've been trying to get something like this going for a while." And it's just great having that same idea, even if it's coming from two separate places. It definitely helps to have two voices in that conversation. But basically, I collect cookbooks. I enjoy cookbooks. I love reading cookbooks. It makes me a nerd, maybe, I don't know, but that's one of my favorite.
Yes, it does.
And I'm all right with that. Nerd. I am perfectly okay with that. Some people like to read their spicy books. They listen to their spicy books. Some people like to read books about spice. It is what it is. It's
well done.
Well done, Dad. Well done, Dad.
Thank you. But I came to Matt. I'm like, I think we need to have something that encompasses some of the ideas and the thoughts in regards to food and other recipe type things from dads. I've never seen a book devoted specifically to what dads can bring to the table in regards to the kitchen, or as Matt and I were talking, not just the kitchen, but in science experiments, in cleaning recipes, and things of that nature. Things are recipes, things that you put together with ingredients and create something else.
Heck yeah.
And it's just been just trying to get that ball all the way rolling, because that's something that I'm really passionate about, and I want that to be shared with as many people as possible.
So along with with the cookbook itself, I mean, typically when I see a cookbook, you've got the recipe, you've got a picture of what it is that's being made. Is something you guys are looking to do is maybe having pictures of like the dads, and if they've got like their kids, like also being involved in that to kind of give that ambiance of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we'd love to get pictures of the dads that submitted the recipes. And again, anytime we can get pictures of dads being engaged fathers, that's important because it's an image that we don't see in the media nearly enough. The overall plan for the cookbook was that we put together a Google form because Google, where people can come in and submit a recipe. It's got places for people to submit pictures. It's got places for them to submit the recipe. There's a box that you check on there stating that, this is an original recipe, or at least as original as any recipe can be. I mean, realistically, there's only so many ways you can make marinara sauce. Like it's at the end of the day, it's tomato sauce. When we say we want it to be an original recipe, it's something that you make at home on a regular basis, and you're not just opening up a book and copying verbatim a recipe out of that book. We all start with recipes from a book, and then over time it kind of becomes your own thing. Whether it's that, you're like people in my family who think of garlic as a food group, not a spice.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you're making, like, what's that? 2 cloves of garlic? I wouldn't
6 it is.
I wouldn't use 2 cloves of garlic if the recipe was for 2 cloves of garlic. Even that would start with like 5 cloves of garlic.
Yep. I want Dracula to not think he has a bit of a welcome into my house.
Exactly. There's no danger of vampires in our home.
Right, Aaron? I mean, you got to be protective.
That also, keep away from putting a mat in front of your house that says welcome or come in, because that bypasses that whole uninvited
threshold is useless at that point. What are you doing?
Yeah. But in addition to food recipes, we've already had some interesting submissions that I thought were absolutely amazing. We've had a cocktail submission, which I think is great, because again, we're all adults. People who want to enjoy a cocktail, by all means, can enjoy a cocktail. I would love to see science experiments in. Again, my personal number one wish, do you have like a homemade cleaner recipe that might actually like remove Sharpie or crayon from walls, clothes, floors, whatever? Trust me, that recipe would be worth its weight in gold. Please submit it if you have that recipe, because we would love to do it. The current plan is we're in the submission process. Once we get 40, 50 recipes together, we're going to have to narrow that down to, again, a lot of that's going to depend on the layout and, the actual like building of the book, where, we're going to bring on somebody with a little bit more graphic design experience to put together a book that's visually appealing. But, we're going to test the recipes. We're going to make sure that they actually work. We're going to get everything laid out. And then at the end of the day, we've put together the idea that there will be 2 options. There'll be a relatively inexpensive way to just get a digital copy.
Yeah.
Where you can buy a PDF of it. It'll be on your laptop. You can have it on your tablet. I can't lie. I'm 52. I'm old. I like pages. I like books. I collect cookbooks. There are two 6 foot tall bookcases in my kitchen that are overflowing with cookbooks. I have to get a third bookshelf soon. Um, but I know that a lot of people these days are using tablets or their phones or whatever to keep track of their recipes while they're cooking. I've also located a publisher that is willing to do print on demand.
Oh, that's great.
Which is important because the idea of asking a nonprofit like the National At-Home Dad Network to make an investment of printing and buying, 100 books in the hopes that we can sell them. It's just not, it's not a good financial move for the organization. It's a little bit more expensive this way, but I think the last time I looked at it, which again, none of these prices are written in stone because it could be a year from now before we're ready to actually do the publishing. But the last time I looked, we'd be looking at probably somewhere around like $28 to $35 for like a physical copy of the cookbook, which by cookbook standards these days is relatively inexpensive. For anybody who's ever looked at one of these like celebrity chef cookbooks.
And you're not looking for dads just within the organization. Like basically the dads who basically like maybe are part of like City Dads group or Fathering Together or any of that kind of stuff. Like everybody that's a dad is like welcome to enter something.
If you're a dad,
perfect.
I mean, you don't have to be in City Dads. You don't have to be a part of Fathering Together. You could just be some random dad who's listening to this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Who wants to share a recipe.
Yep.
And the idea is whoever's recipes we choose, obviously the recipe is going to be credited to the dad who submitted it. We're going to put this together as a communal effort, made by dads for dads. And I would like to see recipes like that run the whole gambit. I mean, as I spent 25 years working professionally as a cook / chef. And I know, Aaron, you spent years and years in the restaurant industry as well. I'm not looking for like gourmet 5-star restaurant recipes. I mean, if you've got one and it's great, by all means, submit it. I mean, we'll put some of those in there.
We just don't got time for that, y'all.
But that's it. Honestly, we're also looking for a lot of, hey, here's a 1-pan recipe where, you could start off with a cast iron skillet and put all these ingredients together and put a meal on the table. We're looking for the quick recipes because all of us have lives. All of us have things to do. I know that you guys have an audience that isn't just stay-at-home dads.
Right.
There's a lot of dads that, they may work outside the house, but they're still dedicated and involved dads.
We've got some moms too that are listening as well. So that's the other nice part.
Yeah, unfortunately, I will say we're not looking for mom submissions for the Dad Dishes Cookbook.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine. Definitely. I mean, there's lots of cookbooks out there. I was curious too. Like you guys both said that you collect cookbooks. Do you have a like favorite go-to cookbook that's like this is the one? Or I mean, I know that's probably going to be hard for you with like 6-foot bookcases of cookbooks there, Matt. But Aaron, what about you? Do you have a favorite that you go to or even what do you have one that's like your favorite just to read through for like leisure or whatever?
This is silly. It's silly. When I was like 8 or so, I got a cookbook of basically kids party recipes. And it's just like silly recipes. Like this one was for like a kid's bicycle party, and if you mix Sprite and Coke, they call it Spoke, and it was just because it's part of a bicycle, and it was called Spoke, and it's just it's just something silly about it. You know what I mean?
Love it.
And I have some like Michelin star like beautiful cookbooks, beautiful pictures, all these things. But this is just like notepad, like spiral notebook, like just silliness that just brings so much joy to my heart just to read these little silly recipes that just make me happy because it brings me back to the time when I was with my grandparents and things of that nature.
Yeah,
And
I mean, my son has brought home cookbooks from the library that he finds has some interesting recipes and wants to make them. I think there's even one for like Minecraft, if I'm not mistaken. Like, there's like all kinds of stuff like that. So he's always grabbing up that, bringing it home, being like, "Oh, can we make this or that?" And I forget. I think they did Minecraft pancakes or something like that one time, or you know, and I think that is really intriguing because I would have never thought that was something that was even available. He finds it on the shelf and is just like, let's take this home and work on it. I'm like, all right, great. Like I am all for feeding into your, passion to want to cook because I think that for a lot of kids, they don't get that experience of being able to cook or, maybe the parents just don't feel confident having them in the kitchen, or feel comfortable with it.
Well, and what Matt said earlier, I think fits perfectly. I invite my kids to do anything with me. They're helping me is not helping me, right? It's going to take 10 times as long. And when you don't have time, what's for dinner? Give me 5 minutes, I'll throw something together. You don't have time to teach your kids those things. So I love that we have that opportunity
Yeah.
because for me, cooking for other people or just cooking for myself is one of my favorite ways to show love. It's to say, and you don't have to like it. Maybe you didn't like it. Maybe it was, tell me what was wrong with it. I'll fix it next time, whatever. But the love that you share with your family around a meal is so very big in your family. And teaching your kids, I drink all my coffee because I'm not awake yet. First day of summer and all my alarms are off. I don't know what's going on. And I sent my 11-year-old, he's up playing Minecraft. And I said, hey, come get me another cup of coffee.
Yeah, buddy.
And he did. He went up, he made it, he brought it back to me. I guarantee that there's drips of coffee on my floor everywhere from here all the way up to the coffee pot. And that's, again, it's a thing you got to deal with, right? But reaching out to your kids in that way and what cooking can teach them. And I want to say, because this is how I do, my favorite cookbook that I have is called A Gathering of Friends. And there's like, I don't know how many volumes there are, but I think I'm like volume 6 or 7 that I got. And it's the idyllic, I wish I could prepare meals that look this good and that because they have like the place settings and presentation and all of that stuff that I just don't do because again, I'm serving locust. They just won't. It's so pretty. You ate it and you spilled half on the floor. All right, well, let's go. That's how we get. But reaching out, and I think Matt hit the nail on the head in saying that it's going to take twice or 3 times as long. And then you got to clean up everything. But doing that, making that effort really, really bonds your family together. I love that you brought that up.
And I will point out, there are several chefs who have done cookbooks that are specifically designed for parents who want to cook with their kids.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
He is not necessarily one of my favorite chefs personality-wise, but Emeril Lagasse put out a whole series of cookbooks that are designed for you and your kids to cook together. I've got a few of them on the shelf. You were talking about the Minecraft cookbook. For those who don't know, both myself and Danny are huge like role-playing game geeks. A couple of years ago, Dungeons and Dragons put out a cookbook called A Hero's Feast.
Yes.
And yes, I pre-ordered it and got it the day it came out.
Nice.
Now, do you have to roll the dice to be able to be like, it's either going to be this spice or this spice?
No, no, it's just they're mostly just
protein.
themed with Dungeons and Dragons themes.
Okay, that's cool.
But in answer to your question about my favorite cookbook, mine go through periodic changes. There will be a moment that I'll be really, really into one particular cookbook. For the longest time, one of the cookbooks that I was absolutely obsessed with was called Soup for Syria. And it was a group of celebrity chefs who all put together an entire cookbook that is nothing but soup recipes. But it's soups from all over the world. And they published this cookbook to raise money to bring food assistance to the refugees in Syria.
That's awesome.
Which was just an amazing thing. Recently, I just got one of my favorite cookbooks again, because at some point I loaned it out and forgot who I loaned it to. And again, ADHD, it's so much fun.
It's so much fun. And being old too, and it's like, I don't know. I guess I lost that.
Yeah, I mean, like I know I loaned it to somebody, and I could probably narrow it down to about 7 to 10 people, but I can't be bothered to call each one of them and be like, hey, do you still have this book of mine? Because at this point, it's been like easily 10, 11 years since I loaned it out.
Oh, wow.
But I found another copy of it used because it's not currently in publishing. But it's called Paris Bistro Cookery. It was published in 1958 and was written by this guy, Alexander Watt. And basically, he was a US soldier who was on the battlefront in France in World War II and ate bistro food. And in France, the word bistro means something completely different than what people think here. Like, people think bistro here and they're like, oh, that's a fancy restaurant. No. In France, bistro is like their equivalent of Waffle House.
Oh, wow.
Like it is literally like the local town, like diner country food. And every town has them. And it's delicious food. It's not what you think of when you think French food. It's not the tweezer food. This is like down home, just hearty, rustic cooking. And it can be absolutely delicious. But basically, he took like 2 recipes from each one of like 50 or so bistros that existed in Paris in 1958. Each one of them representative of a different regional cooking style or not each region, not each one different, but all representing different regions and cooking styles of France.
Yeah.
And it's just a really phenomenal cookbook.
That does sound good. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I stumbled across it when I was working at a French bistro here in Durham, North Carolina, where like so many of us do, I talked my way into a job that I was incredibly unqualified for, and took a sous chef position.
I got this job.
I had very little knowledge of like regional French cooking. I knew classic French cooking because that's what I was trained in, but nobody has cooked that way since like 1920. And I went and hit every bookstore I could find, and this was one of the books that I stumbled on, and used that to supply me with ideas for like dinner specials.
Oh,
for
cool.
Probably the first year and a half that I was working there, and that probably enabled me to keep my job.
Awesome. Hey, Aaron.
Bistros of Paris? Is that what it was called?
It's Paris Bistro Cookery by Alexander Watt.
Okay. Aaron, how many submissions are you looking for this cookbook? Like, how many recipes are you looking to put into this we'll say volume 1 of the cookbook? Because I have a feeling that there's more volumes that can be made out of this, because you're probably going to get quite a bit in submissions. So what's the first volume 1? How many submissions are you looking to put into that cookbook?
Well, like Matt said, we're looking for about 45, 50 submissions right now. And then we'll kind of weed those down a little bit, get into nice tight 25, 30, and then get that off to the printing presses or the digital printing presses.
Yeah.
To get that taken care of. But yeah, that's about what we're looking for. Just enough to wet the whistle, so that volume 2, we can be like, hey, volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I like the fact too that you said that you've had some non-food submissions with like the cocktails and stuff. Cause like I was thinking about the fact that my wife and I went to a local restaurant where like we are big whiskey drinkers, love old fashions, and we ordered an old fashioned that was very unique because they used tea as their base for their ice cube. And my Corey came home and she was like, she used to work in an English tea room here in Cincinnati, and so she's very much a tea snob, and she was like, I can make that even better, and came home and like perfected, like made this like much more intricate ice cube. It is super easy to make too, which is the thing. But what's great about it is it's got everything that you need minus like the whiskey for your actual old fashioned, and you just drop that ice cube in and just dump whiskey or bourbon onto it. Boom, like rye, like you got your old fashioned. You don't like it's all in one in this like nice ice cube. And nowadays, a lot of us, if you're into cocktails, have like the big block ice cubes, or the circle, like the spheres or whatever it is. And so that's what we used, was like a silicone massive cube to make these, and it's great. I've taken it to parties before, and people are like, "What is that?" And it's got all kinds of great flavor in it. And as soon as you drop whatever you wanted to make that an old fashioned, it's just chef kiss, man. It's like it's so good.
That sounds fantastic.
So you've submitted that recipe, right, Brock?
Well, this is the first that I'm hearing about this cookbook, so I will definitely make sure that it is submitted. It'll get submitted.
There we go. There we go.
Do you not spend any time on the social medias, Brock? I mean, I posted it and done all these things.
He's just there to post stuff.
The newsletter.
He's not there to read your stuff.
I'm just saying.
He's got work to do.
Oh my goodness!
Supposed to be in the know.
Sometimes I'm sleeping under a rock. Okay, like that's how I get away from my kids from time to time.
Well, it's a job now. Your social media is a job for you, and I got it because I do with our Facebook page. I'm like, I go on Facebook and I check for idiots basically, and then I leave because I don't have any more time left because I had to correct all the idiots.
Yep.
So I don't spend any time posting because I'm an idiot.
There was plenty of that.
Remove that.
Like a bulldog on the keyboard, just doing the thing.
Yeah, and which you were talking about being, on the admin team. Like you guys were very busy on June 1 with just posting about Pride Month. I'm like, wow, man, the amount of people that just came out of the woodworks to just act a fool. It's like, good Lord.
It was delightful.
That's a whole nother thing. We don't want to open that can of worms.
It's a hot button topic.
Go back to cooking. Talk about cookbooks.
Yeah,
Come
cooking.
On.
Yeah. Okay.
Stick to the subject.
Everyone
you know what's funny
food.
though?
Love of cooking.
I have to imagine that. Brock, do you have ADHD?
Oh yeah.
You do.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
So I had to correct myself then because all four of us do.
Yeah.
And this is fantastic that we've been able to stay on task for so long.
Mine might not be as bad as yours.
Well
I can
done.
usually keep on task for the most part, but yeah.
I can't say any sentence without going and rabbit trailing off to something else that has nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Mine's more in my head. Like I'll hear something and like immediately like go off like in my mind on different things. And I'm like, like
disassociate, right? Okay, that's a whole other show again. I don't know why you brought that up, Brock. You threw us off the cookbook thing. How dare you?
You're such a rabbit.
A friend of mine has a t-shirt, and if I can figure out where they bought it, I will buy one for all of us. And it literally says, I'm sorry I interrupted you. I'm not being rude, but I had to say what I was thinking right now or it was going to disappear forever.
I did that to my minister on Monday at Vacation Bible School. He was talking to him and another minister were talking, and for whatever reason popped into my head was like, oh, the peach truck is coming into town this week. And I was like, because we have this, like, there's this peach truck that comes up from Georgia with peaches that are like the size of softballs. And you can buy buy like a 3-pound bag for like $15. They're like amazing peaches. And so I saw them over there and I was like, oh, I wonder if they know about it. And I literally like walk over and I'm standing there and they like stop. And the one person was like, did you need to say something? And I was like, I just wanted to see if you knew about the peach truck.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Danny,
like,
do you know the peach truck guy? I'm just wondering. Georgia man, do you know the peach truck guy? I'm just saying.
Well, the thing is, yes, because when we moved up here, there's a nursery close. We go there, we look at plants and whatever. And there's the parking lot is full. It's Saturday morning. It is like 7 a.m. at the latest, and the parking lot is full. And there's this line of people around the building. I'm like, we're missing
yes,
something. And it's the peach truck. And I went, you've got to be. No, I don't like peaches. So, I didn't like it when I was in Georgia. And I'm like, Marnie, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why is this happening? And she said, it's a thing. It's a thing. You get fresh peaches. They're very cheap. They're delicious. And, the whole community comes together because we're a tiny little town, and they know when the peach truck is coming. And I'm just like, I have stepped back into the 50s. What the heck is going on?
Well, the other thing you got to remember, you grew up in Georgia where peaches were everywhere. You're in Wisconsin now. There are no peach trees where you live.
That's true.
That's true. That can't be true. That can't be true.
Dude, peach trees are scared to grow.
There's no place in the world where peach trees don't exist. Come on.
But yeah,
it has been an adjustment. So
yeah, well, in the peach truck too, by the way, like it has its own like website. You can order them and then you can go pick them up.
Is it called thepeachtruck.com? Do you know?
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'm pretty sure it is thepeachtruck.com. I'm pretty sure.
While the majority of people may not have ADHD, the ability to remember what somebody's thing is called should be as simple as possible. The peach truck. Oh yeah, I know that. I can find. What do you look for? The peach truck. Oh, there we go.
Sounds like somebody needs to create a recipe with peaches in it for you northern Midwestern people to have something to use from the peach truck when it comes
once a year.
We might have to come
brought it back. That's how you do it.
Look at you. Look at you. A professional ADHD. Professional ADHD.
Oh my goodness. Well, we probably need to work on wrapping this up. So let's talk about this real quick. Where do people need to go to submit these recipes, and like just how can that happen? So whenever you want to take that and go for it. Tell us about that.
So there's a Google form link. If you follow us on social media, it's on the public Facebook page of the National At-Home Dad Network. It's been posted in the closed group. If you're on our Discord server, there's the whole foodie barbecue cooking channel. It's been posted in there several times. The easiest way is that there's a link in our newsletter that comes out every month. You can go to our website, which is athomedad.org, and sign up to receive our newsletter, and the link will be in that newsletter.
Awesome.
And it's a simple Google form. I mean, like you click it, you go through, you answer questions. There's a space for you to upload photos, as well as your recipe. And then, it goes to my Google Drive, which then has to be transferred to the org Google Drive because, apparently
I know.
Google changed the rules on Google Forms. I don't know if y'all know that.
Oh yeah. Well, and so I'll put the link actually in the show notes too. So that way everybody can find it there. And that'll make it easy also. And then do you have a timeline for like a cutoff? That way that you can get that first volume out?
As much as I would love to say we do, at this point, we've had 6 submissions.
Okay. So we need to get on it. All right.
6. We're at the very beginnings of this. A lot of it's going to depend on how long it takes us to get enough recipes to produce a book that is worth people paying for.
Yeah. Awesome.
Because as much as we're doing this as a fundraiser for the National At-Home Dad Network, this is not to make money for me or Aaron or anybody else. Like whatever profits come out of this are going directly to the network to support our mission and what we do.
Okay.
We're not going to ask people to buy something unless it's got the quality that it's actually useful.
Heck yeah. I love that. I think that's great. And like I said, there's plenty of like city dads groups that are very active that have probably lots of dads that have recipes and stuff. So hopefully this episode gets out there and and draws in the amount of people that you're looking for to get these recipes put in place. So
Oh yeah.
this was
And
great.
again,
Yeah.
if you got
I
a
would
good
love to have
recipe, go
2
ahead.
volumes worth of recipes just to start with. And then just pick and then already have another set to go for the next time should things go. I mean,
Heck yeah.
I don't want people to think that we're just looking for the top 50 or the top 25 only. We want this whole database full so we can just boom slap in another group and do whatever. We want to keep this ball rolling.
I love that. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fantastic if this could become like, and again, I'm sure Aaron is familiar with these, but if you are into cookbooks, if you look, especially in the old vintage cookbooks, there's a massive amount of what used to be like the Women's Chamber of Commerce, or the Daughters of the Revolution, and they would put out a little cookbook every year that was all of their grandma's recipes, and they would put those out, and they'd put out this little like printed pamphlet spiral bound thing every year.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be awesome if we could do the same thing, only have it be from a dad's group as opposed to the local church or whatever else? This would be something new and different.
I love that idea, because preserving the history of your family members who have these recipes that probably are something that maybe like they came up with, and it's just literally on a piece of scratch paper, to be able to actually put that into a publication and show honor to that person that made that meal, that was like that's the meal that warms your heart, like that's your soul food. I think that's a great idea too.
One of my wife's favorite keepsakes is something along those lines. It has a recipe. It's a book of recipes from people that worked at Walmart, or a Walmart that she was at. But it's got a recipe from her deceased aunt that connects her to that. But it's just a spiral bound type.
Yeah.
Like Workers of Walmart number 854 or whatever it is, and she has that, and that's a huge keepsake for her for something that she really connects with. And she can't cook worth squat. My wife, her aunt could cook.
I understand.
My wife cannot cook. She knows that. That's why she married me.
Yeah, you got to know your limitations, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I can't do medicine. The same thing. It works out well.
Awesome. Hey guys, thanks so much for being on the show. Honestly,
thanks for having us.
I was excited to talk, and definitely with food. I mean, Danny and I talk about food on this show on a regular basis. So
and we didn't even get into grilling yet, which is grilling and smoking is something we need to have a whole episode about, because I mean,
oh yeah,
there's so and griddling for me.
That whole genre of recipes becomes incredibly interesting, because you have to start talking about like what equipment you have.
Yes, exactly.
Because for instance, there's a huge difference between using like a wood burning smoker versus an electric smoker.
Electric, obviously better. I mean,
grill. Yeah.
The fight is on. Oh my!
Depending on who you talk to.
Speaking of cooking, I'm a big spoon, and I like to stir stuff up sometimes.
I use an electric smoker at home. I know that is blasphemy to a lot of the hardcore like smoker barbecue types. But I'm also an at-home dad, and training for triathlon and volunteering with this org, and I'm not gonna lie, I wish I could spare 13 hours to sit downstairs and babysit a smoker to make sure that my temps stay even and my smoke supply stays great to do a brisket or a pastrami, but I don't. So it's really nice to be able to just say 210 degrees, I'm going to sleep now.
I'll see you in the morning.
Go. Exactly. Well, hey, everybody, make sure to check out the link that'll be in the show notes, and submit your recipes, because we want to see as many of them come through as possible, so that we can get this book built and get some more volumes out there. And and also too, you got to give Matt and Aaron something else to do on top of them chasing after their children all day long. So, make that happen. And we will be back next week with more fun conversations. I believe we've got another guest on the docket, and so we're just trucking along with things as we get closer to Home Dad Con, and I believe next week we'll have a speaker guest. So until then, have a great week.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.